Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just gonna play around here for a few minutes before I go, and I'm just kind of experimenting. And you could probably watch this later. But what I'm gonna try to do is try to put some microtones in Defla Mask. And if you don't know what microtones are, essentially it's what they refer to anything that's outside of our 12-note scale for music. So the 12-note scale, if I go to the keyboard view here, okay, if I go to edit, options, show piano. So there's basically 12 notes to an octave. So you start here in C, and that's a whole octave from that C to C, and there's 12 different notes before you hit the next octave. An octave is called an octave because there's 8 consonant notes, notes that sound good together. So in relation to a root note. So that would be this: C, 4, 5, 6. Okay, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8. And so those are the 8 consonant notes. And then the 7th, and then this and this, that had to be stuck in there to kind of help fill in the void there and make a complete system. And they're all equally temperamented, which means every note is an equal spacing apart from every half step. So this and this is the same spacing as this and this in terms of frequencies. Now, what most people don't really think about, and we take this for granted, is that could all be different. What if there were 13 notes, or only 11 notes per octave, or less, or way more? What if there were 313 notes? You know, all these what ifs and whys. Why? You know, let me check my stream, see if there's anybody. No. That can be changed. So there's a website that's called the Scale Workshop, and I'll probably make a better video in the future about this. But you can change the temperamental qualities. So let's say that I want to do 12 notes per octave, just like normal. And everything is equal. So we have here the exact frequency. It's based on A equals 440. And for all you 432 nuts, you can change that to 432. And then do it that way. Okay. So what if I want to do 432? And so then I want to do equal temperament, 12. Okay. So now we have it tuned to 432. So if we look for 432, then that is the note of A. Okay? What's supposed to be the note of A? Anyhow. So if I play that scale, it sounds like this. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's 12 tones. And of course I could always go to 400, and I could transform that to 400, or go back to 440, just like our modern tuning system, because the note of A is rooted on 440, and these are the different intervals and frequencies. But we could go to an alternate tuning system, like the Pythagorean one, which is very much the same, but slightly different. And Pythagorean is based on 432. And there's kind of a different ratio for everything. The way it's calculated and all. And they use these different ratios that Pythagoras came up with for how to tune things. If we look at every other number, there's a relationship of some mathematical ratio that goes beyond my mind. I'm not really good at math, to be honest, but I want you to hear, you know, like you can get the same stuff from it, right? So you can still get that major scale, but watch what happens when I play like a major chord. You hear that grunginess? So that grunginess is not supposed to be there in our regular tuning system. You hear how now when I use the regular tuning system, everything sounds nice and clean. The Pythagorean one, it's a little bit off tune, right? It's kind of grungy and gritty, and I personally kind of like that. What if I switch to a minor? See, the minor tritone is at a more more harmonic ratio, but the major, it's less harmonic, and it's kind of detuned. I mean, according to what our standards are, but the mathematical ratio may be right, but it may not be right to our understanding of proper tuning. This is the augmented. I wonder how a major seventh sounds. Very interesting. Now we can actually come up with any tuning system. Like, what if we only had 11 notes per octave? And let's say we just do 440 as our bass, right? How would that sound? That's interesting. What if we try to make an actual mode out of it? Okay, so that would be the major scale for an 11-note scale. Can we get a major chord from it? We can get like a Lydian flattened fifth chord. But what's the next note? That's probably as close to a major as you may get. And so this type of major, it's not quite a major, but it's not quite a minor. So I've kind of called this the Manor Court because it's kind of in between a major and a minor. So it's slightly less than a major, but not less enough to be a minor. So it's kind of this weird, melancholy sound. But if I go a little higher, So the harmonic structure of this is different, and it's not something that we're used to. It would take some getting used to, and we eventually could, but it's an asymmetrical, and it's really weird how this one would work. You could get some interesting things from it, but nothing like our Western tuning system. But it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with it. You know, like a good musician could really do something cool with this. So how would 7 sound? You know, you get into the asymmetrical ones. 7 would sound like this. And one good way that you could get some different and interesting chords is you should treat modes as if they don't stick to any one particular octave. So yeah, you kind of do have octaves because you have like the same note that's low and high, like a double length note. But then you kind of dismiss that in a sense. You know, and so as you play a mode or a scale, you kind of ignore the octave and then go a little bit above that in terms of intervals, and you can get different kinds of things. That's very detuned and weird. Now if we do 6, what happens if we do 6? Well, this 6 equal temperament is exactly the same as our 12-tone scale, you know, except you take 6 notes out. It's what's called the whole tone scale. And everybody can play a 6-tone scale on their keyboard. Pretty easy. 3-tone scale. You should be able to play this on a regular keyboard as well, because we have 400, 800, and 1200. Okay. 400, 800, and 1200. So we can still do all those notes with a 3, 6, and 12. We can do all that. What about a 2-tone octave? 600 and 1200, right? 1200. Can I do that here? Yep. So that's basically an F sharp or a G flat. So if you were to go into the Locrian mode, So that would fit perfectly for Locrian modes. So having only two tones is a very Locrian thing to do, which I find rather fascinating. Let's see if I have any comments on the streaming. Aeolian scale. Hey guys. Hey Superjet. I won't be here for too long, but thanks for dropping by. Yeah. So anyway, what you got to understand is that a lot of these lower tuning systems, they're not, you can still access them with our Western tuning systems. So like some of them are moot points, right? And we can get a pentatonic scale. However, a true pentatonic scale, which is 5 tones, is going to be different. You're going to have completely different scale degrees of that, and it's not going to sound the same. So here it would sound like this. But the pentatonic scale in the Western system would sound more, let's say, so we could do. So that would be the Western pentatonic. You just play only the black keys. But in the pure, equally temperamented pentatonic, it would be more like this. So that's probably one that's kind of different. Of course, 6 is just half of the Western scale. What about 8? Now we're going to get some similarities. Well, basically one right here, the 600 cents. So hold on. So let's take a look at this 300, the 600, and the 900. So let's see if those notes are also in the Western system. 3, 6, and 9, right? 300, 600, and 900. So you can access some of the 8-tone scale within Western tuning, but not all of it. There's going to be some odd intervals. So yeah, that's just some interesting stuff that you can do. If we go all the way to 24 tone, which is double the amount of notes of the Western scale, that means every note can have a quarter step and a half step of a division, and it's equally temperamented. So you can still get but you can also get this. So you know, you can get like interesting half major and half minor chords, or diminished chords and things like that. So that's a perfect Western major, but if I detune the third of that note slightly, that's what I call a minor. So it's half major and half minor. If I detune it a little more, then that's a pure minor. If I detune it more, then I call it a diminured chord. If I detune it just a little more on the top end, okay, yeah, that would be a diminured chord. And if I detune the fifth just a little more, that's a pure diminished chord. And then if I detune it just a little tiny bit more, that would be something that I would call a diminished chord. And then down to, that would be more like a suspended fourth, kinda. So yeah, there's just like these in-between chords and harmonies that you can get. You can kind of tune your major chord a little bit too. So, I don't know, it's just a lot of fun, and I encourage everybody to try to play around with this sometime. Oh, yes, I will. There is a way to export a Deflamask tuning file that will tell you exactly the correct E5XX command to get any tuning standard. I will cover that maybe later today. I gotta get to work, guys. Alright, God bless, and see y'all later.